Hello there, everyone. It's me, Civilla Morgan, founder and host of the Childless Not by Choice podcast. As you know, if you've been listening for any amount of time, my mission is to recognize and speak to childless not by choice women and men around the world, reminding us that we can live joyful, relevant, fulfilled, childless not by choice lives. And whether you have children or not, thank you for tuning in. What is today's show about? Well, this is the September episode, September 2024. And just ahead of the September episode is our hiatus. So October and November, I am on hiatus. No new episodes for those 2 months. September is and has been since I started doing this kind of a catch up and let you know what's going on type of episode. So it's going to be a little bit about a few things. I won't say a little bit about a lot, but it's just a little bit about a few things. So I don't know. I titled it Looking Back, Looking Forward, and that might be the title I keep for this episode, Looking Back, Looking Forward. Before we get started, I want to thank, as usual, my Patreon contributors. You make a financial contribution to the platform every month, and I do appreciate it. As many of you know, the average podcaster either uses some type of platform and asks listeners to help with cost, or the cost just comes out of our pockets. For me, it's a little bit of both. It has always been that way. Sometimes some people leave, some people come back, some people give once in a while. All of that is truly appreciated. Thank you so much. As many of you know, costs include things such as paying Libsyn, my podcast host. That's where my podcast episodes live. Zoom, which I have the paid account so that I don't have to worry about running out of time when I'm interviewing someone. I pay my podcast producer to make me sound good. I really appreciate him because I don't know if I would be doing this long without a podcast producer. It takes a lot of work and technique, and I just don't have it. So I really thank my podcast producer for having been with me the last number of years. And so many other things, a few other things that get paid for every month. And, if you have never given before, this is not something I like to go into real in-depthly. I don't do it a lot, haven't done it over the last 9 years. I thank my Patreon and PayPal contributors, and I keep it moving. But I will tell you that if you have never given before and you find value in this podcast, in the content, in the interviews, feel free. It would be much appreciated. As I said, some people give through Patreon, and all of the details are in the show notes. You can do it on a monthly basis. The money just gets debited, whatever amount you want to give, debited out of your credit card. Or some people just drop me some dollar amount in my PayPal account. The details for that are also in the show notes. And as I always say, please, please, please check out the show notes, because that's where all the details are for the episode and anything else that I want you to know about. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what's in the show notes in just a minute. But once again, thank you to everyone who gives. It's truly appreciated. If you have questions about giving or how your money is spent, feel free to message me. I don't really get questions about that because, the money literally goes towards what I say it's going to go towards. But if you have questions, feel free to reach out. I have no problem answering those questions. Well, body of the episode, here we are. Again, reminder, the next 2 months, October and November, I am on hiatus, which means no new episodes. In the past, I would typically fill those 2 months in with a blog post. And I'm not saying I will or won't do it this time around, but honestly, quite honestly, I am also in school. I started school in August. I'm going back to get a certain degree, which I will not say more than that for now until it's done. But I'm back in school, and it's taking up a lot of time, that and my new job. I have put my life and health insurance license away for now. I'm still licensed, but I'm not using that license as I have for the last few years. I have taken a pivot. I don't remember if I mentioned pivot here on any episode. I know I mentioned it probably in a Facebook Live. I try to do at least one live per month, and then I pin it to the top of my personal Facebook page. So I'm feeling like that's where I talked about the pivot. And I said that if you ever get a chance to do a pivot in life, it doesn't come along very often, but if you get a chance to, and there's something you want to pivot to, Try, do it. If it doesn't work out, then you know you did it and you'll never wonder what if. And so I've had the opportunity and have taken the opportunity to pivot. And the thing about pivots is they're not easy. They come with stress and wondering, what have I done? What am I doing at this age? Why am I doing this? But it's a risk. And, sometimes we have to take that risk because life is short. Life is short. We don't know when our last day on this planet will be. So if you have a chance to take a pivot, of course, do your due diligence, count the costs, all of those things. But if you can do it because then you can say, you know what? I did it. It worked out. I'm so glad I did it. Or I tried. It didn't work. But with that, of course, give it a chance. Give it time. And so that's where I am right now. I'm giving this pivot a chance, pivoting away from something safe and trying to see how this new gig that I'm trying to get into will work for me for the rest of my working years. That's what this is all about. And like I said, it's not easy. I'll say more about it at some other time. The work that I'm doing is really hard work, but it's really fulfilling. It's fulfilling. But I have lost 17 pounds since I started this job. And I think I've mentioned my job before. I'm working as a CNA now, which is a certified nursing assistant. CNAs do not get paid what we're worth because the things we do, we're literally taking care of elderly people. Well, I'm on the rehab side of things, so they don't stay very, very long. But many people are just in really bad situations. Maybe they got hurt or they're elderly or whatever the case may be. It's a difficult job, but it is so fulfilling to me. It is so fulfilling. I am so proud of myself that I can change an occupied bed. I mean, some of you might think like, what? What are you talking about? How is that something fulfilling? But I'm telling you, that is a skill. It's a skill, and I'm just getting better at all of the different skills of caring for people who are maybe wheelchair bound, bed bound. Maybe their family members could no longer care for them at home. And I don't know, my biggest skill to me, the skill I'm most proud, I'm not fully there yet. I wouldn't say that, I'm completely fantastic at it, but to be able to change a bed that's occupied by a human being, it's a big deal. And to me, I love that I can literally do that. That's a skill that I plan to perfect. And I know, like I said, it may sound weird to some of you, but it's the coolest thing. It's the coolest thing. And so I'm really, really learning quite a bit. I'm learning from people much younger than me in some cases, but I'm there to learn. I'm not there to show off my degree in this and my degree in that, because my degrees mean nothing in this world, because they're not for this particular world. So I'm not walking in there on my high horse, like some people would say. I am there to learn. All of that other stuff has been put to the side on the back burner. And I am proud to say that I can change an occupied bed, and I can change a human being and help a human feel clean and help them with their showers. I am in my happy place. It's hard. It is so hard, but I'm in my happy place. And I'll talk more about next steps at some other time, but I just wanted to let you guys know what I'm doing right now. And so the hours they're tough. School in the morning, work at night, those types of things. And I'm at peace and just hoping and praying that I'm doing the right thing. So there's that. And remember, I'm a woman of a certain age, you guys. Anyway, enough of that. I've told you about my hiatus, told you a little bit about what's going on in my life right now. As usual, there will be a fresh new episode in December. Probably start working on that in November sometime. This class ends in December and it gets progressively harder. So I'm not making any promises because this is not something that I actually took in high school. It's something I'm learning for the first time. I mean, I was going to say it has nothing to do with what I'm going for, but it kind of does, I guess. I'll talk more about that later. But I'm taking one class just to get myself in the mode of school again. And that's where I am with that. So yeah, I'm doing a lot, but I do plan to have a fresh new December episode. There's a subject I've been wanting to talk about for years, and I think I'm going to talk about that in either January or February. I won't say any more about that, but it's something that's been going around in my mind and my brain, and I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be received, but look, this is a podcast about being childless not by choice. And sometimes other things come with that, like the IVF issues that are going on here in the United States and all the other things that are going on around this whole subject matter. So I think I will be talking about it. Hopefully I don't lose any of you, but it could happen. Anyway, I'm going to do my best. As you all know, I do everything in taste. I believe in that, and I will continue to believe in that, and just let you make your decisions. I did an episode on race, which, by the way, that episode, the link is in the show notes. So race in the medical community, I know that was probably a tough episode for some people to listen to. Some people may think that, that stuff doesn't really happen, does it? Or are you being divisive? People like to use those types of thought processes to keep from doing the work of really thinking about what other people are going through on this planet. I call it narrative and being on the bandwagon. So we do have to be about our brothers and sisters' business. We are all related. We're all human beings. We are all made in the image of God. So we've got to be about each other's business, because if we look the other way and ignore it, eventually it will come to us. So I really believe in just being, cognizant of what other people are going through. And if you hear thousands of people or millions of people saying that they're having these same experiences, I mean, we don't all know each other. So there must be something to it, right? You would think. But for some people, it's just easier to just look the other way. Life is already hard. I can't deal with it. Why should I deal with it? I don't want to have to deal with it. And so there may be some of that with the episode that I did on race in the medical community, but no, that was indeed my experience. There's nothing made up about it. Everything I talked about that happened to me in that episode is true. And so I hope that you had an opportunity to listen to that episode. If you didn't, please go back and listen. You'll now have time because, like I said, no new episodes for October and November. So do take a listen to that episode. I've put other episodes in the show notes as well. I basically put the last 3 episodes as the most recent. So episode 166 is my conversation with Jody Day. That's getting a lot of downloads, and that's always a great conversation when I can get a chat with Jody Day. That was pretty cool to do. Then episode 165 is my 9-year podcast anniversary episode. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, episode 164 is issues of race and the medical community, where I talk about other things, but I talk about my experience after my hysterectomy. So be sure to check out those episodes if you have not. The World Childless Week is coming up. By the time you hear this, I probably would have already done the webinar, the panel that I'm going to be on, which is going to be on Tuesday, September 17th, 7 p.m. UK time, which is 2 p.m. US. That's when I'm going to be on a webinar with 2 other ladies. So I'm going to be posting. I'll probably put the link, the graphic in the show notes. That might be a good idea, although it probably would have already happened by the time you hear this episode. But please do check out World Childless Week. It starts on Monday, September 16th, and goes for an entire week. So be sure to tune in, listen to the webinars, the seminars, read the blog posts, and I'm looking forward to being on that panel. So do check that out. And the reason I bring that up is because I put the links to 3 episodes in there. We're going to be talking about Black women who are childless not by choice, but I also put the links to it was a 2-part episode actually on childless not by choice women who changed the world. Those were episodes 78 and 79. So those were a while back. The links are in there. All of that, this is why I'm always asking you all to check out the show notes, because literally the show notes are chock full with information, not just my contact information, but what the show is about, what's being discussed, and links to stories of interest or past episodes that I think you would find helpful based on what we're talking about. So be sure to check out those episodes. And then, this is on my notes to talk about, but I've talked about it before. I think. I know I've posted about it on my social media pages, but, the whole childless cat lady, or in my case, childless plant lady, all those things that are happening. I'm loving the t-shirts that I'm seeing that people are making. There are so many crazy things going on in our world today, so many scary things. People are being threatened, and people are being killed in wars around the world, and yet we have the time. And I think it's good because it saves our sanity to be able to take the serious and make it just a little bit unserious, because, like I said, it helps our sanity. If we took everything absolutely seriously all the time, I think we would all lose our minds. I really do. So I like that, although it's really serious, that there are people of status who know better. They know better, and they've taken a pivot from their actual beliefs and thoughts and pivoted to what would make them hang on to power, obtain and hang on to power, by now pivoting to talking about women who did not have children. You don't know why they didn't. You don't know why we didn't, but it makes you look good, apparently, to call us childless cat ladies. I don't have any pets. I thought about a cat at one time, but I don't know. I love cats. They have personality without having personality. Don't be mad at me, but that's how I see them. I'm like, they're all personality, but they just look at you like, it's my world and you're just existing in it. So I've thought about cats because I like that about them. I like the fact that they think it's their world, but I just never got one. And then I thought about dogs, and I'm still considering a dog, but I don't know when. And I like the bigger dogs, like the mastiffs and bulldogs and those types of dogs, but I don't know, they might eat me out of house and home. The teeny tiny ones, they're cute, but I like bigger dogs. And so, I don't know, I may get one day. I'm not sure. I guess the point is I don't have any pets, so I can't exactly call myself a childless cat lady, but I have plants. So I'll call myself a childless plant lady. And maybe I'll get a t-shirt made up like that. And that's what I meant when I said that we can be so sometimes unserious about serious things, because our way of fighting against foolishness is to go out and get t-shirts made. And I like that. Otherwise, I don't know. This world would just be even worse. Can you imagine things being even worse than they are now? And it could happen. It could happen, unfortunately. But I pray for our world every day. Every morning, I pray to God that things will calm down. And so I hope that they do. At any rate, I just wanted to make sure that I dropped by for September. Just give you the reminders, let you know what's going on with me. Just keep in mind all the things that are in the show notes. If I think of anything else, I'll plug it into the show notes. And I may drop a 5 or 10 minute audio for October and November. I don't know. I may or may not. But I definitely wanted to get the September episode out. It is a little bit late. And it's because I've been making notes in my template, but doing school and doing work and trying to learn this new gig. And so a lot has been going on. Still grieving, of course. At the time of this recording, this is the day before the 1-year anniversary of when we buried my dad. So it's been a year. So September is now an interesting month for me going forward, apparently. I'm still missing him just like crazy. I did in my Facebook Live for September talk about the things that I, recall about him. One of the stories that I talked about was how, as a child, I was probably in my teens maybe, but he told a story about, and this is how I come not to judge people. I have to make sure that I have all the facts because of the story he told me. And I don't recall, I feel like it's a story that was told somewhere by someone, but I don't know who to attribute it to. I don't think it was something that he made up. It could have been, he was an author. But I feel like it was a story that he heard as a child. And so if this story reminds you of anything, let me know. But he told me the story once of a woman who had a big house. She was wealthy and she had maids and yard people and all of those things. And one day her ring came up missing and she blamed one of her maids. And I think there was a lot of trouble. And I don't even remember if the maid got fired or what the story was, but it was just a lot. She accused the maid of stealing her ring and etc. Well, it turns out that the ring was found in a bird's nest. The bird had apparently flown into an open window, grabbed the ring, and put it in her nest. So I guess one of the yard people found the ring and got it back to the homeowner. I don't even know how the homeowner responded to the maid that she had accused, but the bottom line is the story was, be sure you have all of your facts before accusing people, before thinking you have all your facts, make sure you have them, and that anything can happen. Even the weirdest, craziest thing can happen. So don't just accuse and don't just assume. Have your facts. Have your ducks in order. And that's a story that I have never forgotten from my dad because it's helped me in a lot of situations. So as I go through this September, he died on September 1st, 2023, so that was a tough day for me. And then we buried him 2 weeks later on the 16th of September. So, the days leading up have been tough. I went to the cemetery today to put some fall-looking flowers on their plot because they're right next to each other, my parents. And so I went to the cemetery today, but I just, got to thinking about the different things that he said to me through the years. And I think I've mentioned before the letters he wrote to me as an adult when I was going through difficult times. There was one job that I had for many years that I had been looking at leaving because they had me so stressed out. I won't even say any more details because then I'm sure some people would probably figure out which job it was, but I was under a lot of stress. And he convinced me not to leave. And I listened to him because he had been right in so many situations. And I remember him telling me, I just have this feeling. I don't think you should leave yet. I just have this feeling. And so I didn't leave. And he was absolutely right. I didn't leave. And other things happened, but they wouldn't have happened if I had left. So there were good things that came out of a bad situation. I just remember listening to him and thinking, oh my gosh, he was right. And then, just going through the notes he wrote me. I found birthday cards and notes that he and my mom wrote me. The paper is so tattered on notes of encouragement that he wrote me. I'm going to have to tape them up and maybe have them laminated or something. But those are the things I'm thinking about this month with my dad and just really missing him. Of course, missing my mom, but also pushing through and trying to live my best, most relevant and fulfilled life, right? Which is what I ask you to do all the time. And so that's all we can do when life throws us curveballs, when we suffer loss, whether it's the loss of the ability to have a child or the loss of a child, the loss of a pregnancy, that we grieve, but we push through. We face the grief, we take it with us, but we push through and try to live that life because life is short, as I said earlier. So I'm not asking you to do anything I'm not doing, just asking you to not give up. Don't give up on yourself. Keep pushing through and know that it will work out. Life will work out and you'll be able to make, I know it sounds so trite maybe, but you'll be able to make a nice pitcher of fresh lemonade with all those lemons that you get or we got, So keep on keeping on. Happy September. Enjoy October and November if you're in the U.S. I know some of you do Halloween. I'm not a Halloween person, but also Thanksgiving in the U.S. is in November. Just enjoy your time with family, as we approach family time in November and in December with the holidays. You know what I always say? Stand up for yourself, protect your heart, protect your mind, do what's best for you, what's right for you, and make sure that you are creating and make sure you're taking care of those kind but firm boundaries that I always talk about, especially as we approach the holidays. And so until next time, my contact information is in the show notes. If you want to reach me for any reason, just give me a day or two to respond, and I'll talk to you later. Have a great one.